now we're gonna do the mouth. There are a couple of golden ratio things that go along with the mouth that you need to be aware of, and that is that your mouth actually is the same width as the distance between your pupils, oddly enough. So if you were to draw a dotted line from your pupil straight down, you would actually hit the outer edges of your mouth. Now I know that that looks really wide for some of you, and you're gonna think, no way, there's no way that my mouth is that wide. But it actually is. Your lips don't necessarily cover the entire distance that your mouth does. If I look at my own, I can see that I have just a little bit of mouth that goes further than my lips. So you want to keep that in mind while you are thinking about drawing your mouth. So for your mouth, you want to make sure that you actually start in the middle of your mouth every time. It really helps things get symmetrical. You can do the trick with the newsprint flipping that I showed you for the eye, but it's actually a lot harder to do for the mouth. So I really suggest just starting with the inner part of your mouth and working your way out. And also you want to start in the line in between. Whenever you start on the top or the bottom, one of your lips tends to be way too big. So start in the middle always, and start in the middle line. So I'm gonna go to my mouth, and I can see from my helper line that it needs to be right about there. Now that's not an exact measurement on the mouth. For some reason that golden ratio thing never really super lands exactly perfectly for the mouth. So for some of you guys, that spot could be the center of your two lips. For some of you, it could be the top of your lip, and for some it could be the bottom part of your lip. It really just depends. So the important thing is that you have enough space between your nose and your mouth. So I would say maybe the top of my lip needs to be there. So I'm gonna say that my middle of my mouth needs to start right about there for me. So you're just gonna have to kind of look and decide on that for yourself. So got some chalk pastel on mine. All right, so I'm gonna start right there. It's actually really hard to talk while you're doing your mouth because your mouth is moving when you talk. So when you're doing your mouth, you need to be looking in the mirror and you need to not be talking. So I'm not gonna talk for a second. All right, so that's the center of my mouth. You saw that I started in the middle and I just followed the curve of the center line between my closed lips. And I went all the way out to the dotted lines. Now, that's because the center line actually shows me my entire mouth, obviously. The center line is the opening of my mouth. But when I add my lips are actually going to end more like in here. And that's totally fine. Your lips are not necessarily the same length as your mouth. So now I'm going to start on my top lip, and again, I'm going to start right in the middle. And I don't know if you noticed that I'm not really doing just a hard straight line. I'm doing more like a sketchy line. And that's because unless you're wearing lip liner, the edges of your mouth are not super hard. It's more like a soft blending from your lip color to your skin color. So I'm actually going to do a sketchy line whenever I encounter the edge of my mouth rather than a hard line. Now I'm going to do my bottom lip. And again, I'm going to start in the middle. All right, now I can start coloring in my lips. Now, the area between your lips is actually going to be the darkest because there's no light coming from the inside of your head. So I can color in my lips pretty dark right there. I'm just shadowing them kind of on the dark side. And then I'm going to go down to the bottom and I'm going to shadow. Because your lip actually comes furthest out in the very center of your lip. So that's where the light's gonna hit it, is right in the center of your bottom lip and the center of your top lip. I'm gonna take my finger and I'm gonna kind of smudge it a little bit. All right, I'm going to take my eraser and I'm going to erase away some of that spot where the light hits it right in the middle. You can always use your eraser to add a highlight. All right, so now I've got my lips. Now I can move on to my ears. Now chances are you might not be able to see your ears. I said that it was important whether you were going to be able to see your ears or not to place them on your head, because they really help you know where your hair needs to fall. They're kind of important for that. Your hair kind of tends to interact with your ears. So if you know your hair is going to cover them up, if it's long, if you know you're going to have your hair down and not in a ponytail in your drawing, you don't need to do anything else, because that'll just be stuff that you're going to erase later. But if your ears actually show, if you have short hair or you always wear them tucked behind your ears and you think it would look weird for your ears to not be showing, then you're going to have to add a little bit more. Now, on the ear chart, I showed you a side view and a front view. So the side view I just added so that you would know how to do it, but actually the front view is what you're going to do because you're looking straight on and you can't see a ton of your ear. But what is important when you're doing your ear is that you have it coming out from the side of your head as much as your ear actually is. So if your ears stick out, you want your ears to stick out, and if your ears don't, then you don't want them to be too out there. But when you look, you can see this crease right in here, this cartilage crease, and there's some shadow there. And you can probably see the opening to the inner part of your ear. It kind of mimics the shape of the outer part of your ear. Now, you've got a little bit more shadow down in here because your ear isn't completely flat. And if you wear earrings, you can add some earrings in. Don't put earrings if you don't actually wear them, because this is a self-portrait. You want it to look like you. So I'm going to do the same thing on this side. I've got my curve, I've got my opening, and I'm kind of making sure that it's about symmetrical with the other side. My opening is pretty dark. There's no light coming from the inside of my head, so I know that it's going to be pretty dark. Some shadow. And then on this side, I've actually got 3 earrings. All right, so now that you've got all of the parts of your faces put in,